Hello. Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. The eye patch stays at least another day. Tomorrow is the cataract surgery. So looking forward, I should be looking forward a little bit better. The eye patch may be back. It's a nice bit. Someone recommended I might want to do another Twitch stream playing Cyberpunk, but wear the eye patch for the stream. And damn, if that's not actually a really good idea, I might just have to do that. I've talked a bit in the past about environmental threats in D&D and how you can have an entire session where you just set up a situation and let people start dealing with it and then just adjudicating consequences for a little while. One of the best examples I've ever had has been occurring in my D&D game on Wednesday nights. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Warriors of Wednesday and their D&D game and how this has been playing out, because it's been going really, really well. A whole group of paladins. Everyone's got paladin as a class. At least some folks have started a multi-class because we've hit second level. But paladins all. Tajin, the kobold paladin. Brother Wayland, human paladin artificer. He's kind of trying to be a proto-tech priest from Warhammer 40k. Can't complain too much because it's kind of working out. Got Matic, the Eric Cochran Noble, the Sophia, one of our two human paladins, Bulwark, Warforged paladin made from a pipe organ. Loaded with comedy. That's an amazing concept. I'm really happy to see that going on. You've got Gray, who is an awakened skeleton, who can speak for magical reasons. And then the PC NPC Felbert, the Muppet-born paladin. And the campaign is to build a bridge. The campaign is based around 10 years ago. A road was taken out, and the road crew built it until they came to a river that they didn't know was there and stopped. And now the Duke of that area has decided he wants to see that road continued on and a bridge made. At the point where that road stopped, that river is 50 feet across and a Category 3 rapids, which is not ideal. But there's a lot of reasons that this situation is not ideal. But the Paladins have been charged to help create this bridge because that will form part of a pilgrim path. There has been no pilgrimages made in this area for quite some time, and that's because, well, the river is a barrier to that. Each of the temples has supported this effort. They started at first level, so they just kind of got shuffled off. All the other paladins are involved in a military action someplace else. There's a war going on, but not here. The nation's at war, but it's on someone else's front. And they just don't have time to deal with the first levels just coming out of the academy. Send them off to help the Duke build a bridge. Duke asks for help. Here we go. 6 paladins. Have at. 7. Can't count. And there were some undead there, and they got rid of the undead, and they're unusual undead because they're kind of alchemical undead and not magical undead. And they're still just digging into the mysteries and trying to figure out what's going on. The construction crews are just starting the sawmill, and the paladins are just starting to look around. But there is this thing called the river. Around the second session, they started to look for why there might be undead. And they detected one more undead, but it was underneath them. And they dug a 20-foot hole. 20-foot hole. These numbers become important. And under their feet, there is a 50-foot caldera, a big empty space in the bedrock beneath them. In which they found an undead toxic sludge. Really unusual, kind of a thing. But the chamber that they found is spherical. A spherical stone chamber with a pillar halfway up it in the middle. If it seems like one of those cartoons where a bomb has gone off and the only thing that wasn't hurt was a person in the middle who's just got this column of earth under them. It's kind of like that. But the bottom half of this sphere of rock is a whirlpool. For some reason, there's an opening to the river about 30 feet down, where the river is deepest at this point. And so the rapids, the force of the river is rushing water in. It swirls around that column in the center and then rushes right back out. It's not the only feature down there, but we'll get there. So there's this swirling mass of water down there that comes from the river and leaves to the river, and they've got to deal with this toxic sludge. That's when they started to realize how difficult it was to travel 35 feet down from the 20-foot hole, and then another. It's 25 foot actually. So halfway. Let me work out. I said the numbers were important, and then I don't know the numbers now. 45 feet, 45-foot drop down there, and well, paladins are paladins. They're not necessarily that dexterous, but usually fairly good with athletics. So they start dropping people down there, and after they get the kobold, who's the only person who can see down there, because I've got one character with dark vision. That is the kobold, and who is not the athlete that he believes he is, but thank God he keeps trying. And then Bulwark, the Warforged, goes down with him to try and work out. There's a toxic sludge down there, and the sludge just abandons the cave at the first opportunity and starts trying to get back up the hole. The party starts throwing fire down on the sludge in the hole. The hole which leads to where the Kobold and the Warforged are down below. It worked out. It worked out in that the Kobold went in the water because, of course, he did, because it was the safest place, and the Warforged went in after him, and they both get washed out into the greater river, and as they are, and they're struggling because it's a Category 3 rapids. That's not easy, and you come out of the cave at the bottom of the rapids. So the Paladin basically stuffs the Kobold in one of the open pipe openings on a shoulder, and they manage to work their way out. In the meantime, the Aarakocra has decided he's going to try and dive bomb and grab the Kobold out like a swooping hawk. And he resembles a hawk, so that would work. Except he missed and plunged into the water. And then they had to rescue the three of them. The Warforged was mostly able to climb out with the Kobold after him. They threw a rope to the Aarakocra. This is not the only time we're going in the river. The managed to avoid suffocation. They got out fast enough. The slime was burned eventually. And so they spend the next episode down the hole. They've got light sources, they got a torch, and they discover, here's your caldera, and the river's over on this side, but there's an entrance over here. There's something down beneath the water, another place the water is leaving. So they trail a rope, they drive a spike into the column, trail a rope down that hole. It's not very big. The Warforged can just make it through. And, well, there's water flowing through that, so they figure they'll send the guy who doesn't breathe. One of the guys who doesn't breathe. They still don't know that Gray is an awakened undead. I mean, the players know, the characters don't. Not dropping any spoilers for the game here. Bulwark the Warforged goes down the hole, which travels some distance, climbs down what's left of the rope on the other side of the hole because it opens up into a big opening, and ends up dropping 20 feet to a pool below because the rope ends 20 feet over the ground. And he gets up, makes some rolls, and realizes he is in the Underdark. One of those close approaches to the surface of the Underdark. there's enough glowing mushrooms and bioluminescent things that he can see. He comes across a very old, drowned campsite, and there's just water flowing places water probably shouldn't flow, geologically speaking. And Bulwark, being a paladin, draws upon all of his survival skills and immediately gets completely lost. Has no idea where he's at, is wandering, starting his wander through the Underdark, and wandering in caverns, blindly trying to figure out where he's going. It's not going well. Najim, the kobold, decides he is going to go down after the paladin. Eventually, he goes into the water. He does not manage to stay in the water because it's an athletics check, and Najim's not great at that, and there's a bad roll, and he's shot out into the river. Brother Wayland runs down to where runs down the bank of the river, trying to outpace Najim and the river, to try and get in front of him. Finds that there's a set of rocky outcroppings. If Najim's it makes it all the way down to where the rocky outcroppings are, there's going to be some problems because he's probably going to get killed. He's already taken damage bouncing along the bottom of the river. Brother Wayland gets out onto the rock cropping at some personal risk, ties a rope to the back of his crossbow and drops it down as a makeshift grappling hook, trying to catch Najim. Some rolls are made. Najim is saved. Okay. Brother Filbert, the Muppet Born, decides, well, he's going to give it a try, and see if he can make it down the rope to see where Bulwark went, because it's been some time now. Bad roll is made. Brother Filbert gets shot out into the river, and as Brother Wayland has just done coiling it up his rope, and Najim's starting to walk back, warming himself in the sun, Brother Wayland someone yells that Felbert's in the water. Brother Wayland runs back out to the outcropping, drops the crossbow again. Rolls are made. He manages to save Felbert. By the time he's dragging Felbert out of the water and starting to coil up his rope again, and Felbert is a Muppet. Being in the water is not good for him, so he takes a few minutes to get rid of the water, opening up and vomiting water while with making gargling sounds because it's funny. And it does it until it stops being funny. Special rules governing Muppet Borns. So it takes a while, and then he starts to dry himself out in the sun so he doesn't molder. And that takes a little while. That takes long enough for Najim to go down, take a deep breath, decide he's going to work out a harness to make himself stick more to the rope, so he's got advantage when he goes down, blows both the rolls out into the river. Kobold's going back down the river. So as Felbert is walking back and trying to shake himself out, Brother Wayland just kind of hears that Najim's in the water, takes a deep breath, sighs, walks back out to the outcropping, drops the crossbow, pulls out Najim. At this point, Sophia just climbs out of the hole, stands at the top of the hole, looking down, and for the specific purpose of calling out to Brother Wayland downriver when someone goes in the water. Brother Wayland starts to build himself a kiln and forge off that outcropping down the river a little ways, because he's going to be here for a while, and he might as well have something to see if he can cobble together an actual crossbow while this is going on, because why not? This is a thing now. There is a merry-go-round through the river for a while. This takes up the majority of the evening and establishes a few things. What this did for the camp, it was a funny evening, but it did some pretty amazing things for the campaign. Eventually, Najim manages to make it down the rope, finds the end of it, realizes he is 20 feet too tall. If he drops, there's no rope to climb back out, as Bulwark found out. So he works his way back up. This is where all the good rolls came in. The party takes a little while to work out, okay, so you've got one rope that is tied here and goes through a hole and dangles there. How do we affix another rope to this? Because tying it underwater in rushing water at the far end seems like a bad idea. So they end up tying a second rope to the spike and then unleashing the first spike and unleashing the first rope from the spike, tying them together there, and then letting them both trail. It worked out. It's one of those, you've got to take a rowboat across the river, but you've got a cow and a fox and a bag of wheat, and it worked out. Najim makes it down to the Underdark, and Bulwark is nowhere to be seen, so Najim makes a survival roll to track his friend, and starts walking the other way, completely botches the roll, so now I've got two paladins lost in the Underdark using all of their ranger survival skills that they don't have. And just, so up above, Brother Wayland has constructed his forge and is starting to look around for waste scrap that he can hammer into grappling hooks. And Sophia realizes they've been gone for a little while. There's no sign. There's a problem. There's obviously a problem. Maddock has been in the river once. Maddock is not going back in the river. Our Eric Hawker just says, I'll watch you go in. And that's that. And Filbert supports that because Filbert has realized he shouldn't be going back in the water. He's considering just going and hanging out by the forge to see if he can completely dry himself because, well, the wet Muppet's not as smelly as one wants to, especially after a couple of days. Now you got to get that dried. Sophia goes down the rope and gets into the Underdark. Sophia also gets lost, but Sophia starts bashing her sword against her shield, making enough noise that Bulwark and Najim can find her. They gather back up, put their heads together, get back to the rope. They've gotten a few artifacts from that campsite and a couple of things, and they eventually manage, working as a group, to climb back out into the caldera and get back up to their campsite. Now, on the surface, that's a comedy adventure. That is a session that is all about slapstick comedy and seeing people's eyes roll in frustration and the sighs and the droop shoulders. I'll go get the kobolds out of the water, and it was that funny. It was genuinely that funny. We were busting up. That was amazing. The mystery of the caldera deepens, literally, because now you've got access to the Underdark where there probably shouldn't be access to the Underdark. That little tunnel from the caldera down is as unnatural as the caldera is. And now they need to work out what has happened. They need to work out why the undead were there and why there is a undead toxic sludge affected by the same chemicals 20 feet underground in this chamber. Something is going on, and now more clues have been dropped. More. We've established kind of a hierarchy of strength and ability, at least at second level, which is laying down character dynamics. Because, yeah, you had people that were doing the merry-go-round through the water, but you also had people who just lined up as a support structure to see to it that they were going to be safe. They're starting to catch each other when they fall. They're starting to be the safety net. There's a group safety net for individual action. And that's the group that's playing. That is how these people behave. 2, that is these characters really starting to gel. You're seeing the chemistry of the characters. And there's something in that stressful time, in those incidents where there are, Najim took some damage, bouncing along the bottom, and he got healed almost immediately. And everyone there can do some lay on hands. So it's all working out. And you can see the characters building the relationships in an adventuring party that are going to get into much deeper trouble further down the line. They're still second level. And that is kind of an amazing amount of coordination for characters that are getting their feet wet, so to speak. Uh, the campsite has grown. They've built walls, fences and stuff around the hole. They don't want to close the hole up because that stone foundation down there could be an excellent structural feature for the bridge. If they can build down to that, awesome. They're building a sawmill that's going to be using the water, the river for power. If they can drop a water wheel or some other energy gathering device down in that whirlpool, then they can make a sawmill that has two sources of power or a source of power from each direction, which will make a more efficient and functional sawmill. They could make something kind of epic out of it. A little ways downriver, there's a forge being built. That's the foundation for an amazing smithy on the shores of the river, where the entire encampment that is going to have to grow up to make this bridge, they've already got some place to start pulling nails and fixing their tools and making tools as they need them. They're randomly starting to shape what this space is going to be like. I've got a very rough map of the area, and I'm going to add some of these features to it. The hole and the fences and where the sawmill foundation is going in, and where the smithy, where the forge has already been established. It's some rocks. It's a bunch of rocks piled together with just the right configuration and some stuff so that you can get a blast going with the heat and but it's the beginnings of it. Somewhere down the line, that forge is going to be something kind of professional, kind of nice. I can kind of see the building that it's going to be, and it's a foundational building. That smithy, that forge at the beginning of a city building, that's huge, actually. And we know who built the forge. We know why the forge was officially constructed in that spot. And all of the paladins, I believe most of them have some proficiency with blacksmith tools. They've got something foundational to their maintenance and equipment moving forward. Yeah, there was a lot of comedy, but there was also foundation building. And just from people's reactions to a very dangerous situation, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of times where Najim and Filbert were both in danger of drowning. Sophia almost died climbing down the hole. Sophia went down with her sword and shield. She went down sword and board, full armor. It's chainmail, but it's still hard to feck and swim in. Bulwark doesn't need to breathe, but Bulwark could have been lost in the Underdark nigh forever. That almost split it into two parties at that point in time. Bulwark and Filbert could have gotten hopelessly lost, starting from the same point, going down 5-10 minutes apart, and just never met each other again. Underdark is huge, and that's starting off by failing your rolls to find your way around or to find your way back. Not a great start. Even better, second level paladins, second level characters, two of whom are multi-classed. Brother Wayland, paladin artificer, Najim, paladin monk. They're finding out what they can't do or what they can't do well. They're second level characters, so a lot of the roles are just going to be not that great. At the same time, they're identifying where the entire group has empties, has blank spaces in their skill set. I ask for something like 40 or 50 rolls a week in that game. Investigation rolls, insight rolls, perception rolls, deck saves, just stacked all up. And there hasn't been a lot of combat. What combats they have are kind of short because 7 paladins. And Out of those rolls, let's say it's 50 rolls a night. Out of those rolls, 30 to 35 of those, I'm asking for skills no one has proficiency in. So either someone needs to pick up a feat or get a class that will get them some of those proficiencies so someone knows what they've got, or they're going to have to find some NPCs to be around that they can call on for these kinds of things. Because as time goes on, those non-proficiency skills aren't going to get any better. I'm still going to be asking for them, though. The amount of building you can do with a simple situation, and the setup's a little complicated because you got the caldera and there's an opportunity for people going to the water and people going to the water. There's some place where they're just starting out. The campsite and the town that's going to have to grow there, because building a bridge is not all that difficult. Building a good bridge is a little more difficult. Building a bridge that is going to be for religious pilgrimages and for caravans, where you're going to need to take a large number of carts through in a fairly short amount of time over a long history, that's kind of huge. If you're talking about a regular river, 50 feet, not a terrible river fording. 50-foot bridges can absolutely happen. You've got to build them a little bit longer than that. So there's abutments and they merge with the road. You've got proper support. But this is in Category 3 rapids that are 30 feet deep at some point in time. They're going to have to do some real engineering here. And a lot of that's going to have to get started on the other side of the river as well. And that means getting not just one or two people over there, but a bunch of supplies and workers, and starting maybe an extra little camp over there, because crossing back and forth over that multiple times in a day is not going to be that particularly easy. So the campaign's designed, the paladins show up, there's road, there's no bridge. Building that bridge and building the town that's going to support the building of that bridge. That's the campaign. That town grows with the characters. Their first level, there's nothing there. Their second level, they're starting to get that work site built up. That's the story that we're going to build here. And when we're done with this, when we get the map of the town, when it's all taken care of, I'm going to have drawn this map, but everyone's going to have contributed to it. This is the house where Filbert lives, and that's Brother Wayland's workshop, and Najim, that's the temple that Najim established over there. And it's going to be something that the party heavily contributed to. There's the blacksmith's already there. That's Brother Wayland's smithy. And I just love the concept that we're not only building the story, we're building a place, we're building a location. We're going to have a map of some place that did not exist when we started. I will probably share that map in some way, shape, or form. I have been recording a number of the Warriors and Wednesday games. I decided I wasn't going to record this one to give myself a break. I'm running the game, and there's a lot of extra stuff you need to get done around the edges if you're going to be recording this, recording your gameplay. And I wanted to just focus on the game strictly, which is working out pretty well. We need to find some other solution for recording this. Maybe see if someone else would be interested in doing the OBS and storage and whatnot. That being said, there are elements, because this is how I'm going to share that. I don't have the recordings, but I got the stories. So I'm going to tell some of those here. And then that map, it's going to be a while. This campaign is designed around timing, around how long this game is going to run. Because the levels are being assigned not by not so much my benchmark. The benchmark is you have played as many sessions as your current level times 2. Start off at level 1. After 2 sessions, they're level 2. They're level 2. After 4 sessions, they'll be level 3. If you're doing the math, they are going to be doing this for a while. The longer we play this game, the longer it takes to get to the next level. And, when they hit 4th level, it's going to be 8 sessions before they hit, and that's 8 weeks. It's going to be 2 months at 4th level. 2 months. And then it just keeps growing like that. I'm not unhappy with it. And at some point in time, we might decide to want to shrink that interval a little bit. But right now, it's working out really well. A lot of early campaigns that I've run that have folks at this level, you kind of race past those first few. And this is making us stop and walk around and kick the tires and see what we've got. And it makes that next level just a little bit more special. Well, I'm sorry, I ramble on a little bit. Story about a river. Another story about a river. I love rivers. I love the flow. I love the danger. I love the utility of them and how much you can get out of them in your game. And I guess I love rivers. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you would like to hear more stories about this, well, you're going to hear more stories about this. Anything else you'd like to hear stories about? Some of your own experiences, adjudicating consequences or world building in your D&D games, things that you'd like to hear me talk about, questions you'd like to hear me answer, leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You'll love leaving me one. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you do, you might want to hit the notification bell as well, so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you would like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me. I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.